He walked in this morning. He was like, "What?"
Okay.
And he
Same
got
reaction. I saw it in one light, Will, and then I saw it in a different light.
Yeah.
I thought she was jumping on the train, but it's not quite. More of an orange
He's been
vibe.
giving me side eye this entire time, like, that's my color. Leave me alone. Will, take it away. You look great, by the way.
All right, thank you, Kay. Thank you very much. Appreciate that as always. Well, the Jets have one draft pick still unsigned. That would be their second overall pick, quarterback Zach Wilson. Now, earlier in the week, they had signed their first-round offensive lineman, Elijah Vera Tucker, out of USC. And they also took care of more business as they signed their second-round wide receiver out of Ole Miss, Elijah Moore, to what NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport reports is a 4-year, $8.94 million contract with guarantees through the first 3 years. Hey, the 49ers took care of some last-minute business before opening their training camp next week. Our Mike Garafolo reporting on Wednesday that Fred Warner and the Niners agreeing to terms on a contract extension that will make him one of the game's most promising young players, the highest-paid middle linebacker in the NFL. The 5-year extension is worth $95 million. A Cleveland quarterback, Backer Mayfield, making it clear last month that it would be very special if he, Nick Chubb, and Denzel Ward were able to sign contract extensions with the team, but added, it'll handle itself, so I'm just worried about winning. A healthy Odell Beckham Jr. would go a long way to help with that winning. Well, despite suffering a torn ACL in October, OBJ participating in Browns' mandatory minicamp in June, impressing teammates and coaches alike. Yesterday, Mayfield had this to say to the Akron Beacon Journal about the comeback of his star wideout. Quote, about a month ago, I would have said that he looks very, very good. And I know after speaking with him that he feels even better. So I'll let you guys see that for yourself. Of course, we want to see it as well. OBJ has missed 25 games since 2017, so obviously he brings a different dimension to this offense, and perhaps, Kay and guys, we will see yak of lamb with the side of juice this season. We'll see.
Nice.
Yak of lamb, Nate.
We appreciate you.
Such a wordsmith.
I like that. Now we got it.
Yep.
Nate is absolutely that, but you're also breaking stuff down. Yesterday, you talked about A.J. Brown, you talked about Julio and how he might face some one-on-one matchups, Derrick Henry there, and how it's all going to help take pressure off of the Tennessee offense and every piece there this season. If the main focus of defensive coordinators is to stop the Browns' run game, which we know that they're run-heavy, what does it mean for OBJ? Could you believe that we could see a return to elite OBJ that we used to know and love?
Yeah. No doubt about it, 100%. I don't like to share too many text messages on the show just because, you know, I keep conversations private. But I just remember a couple of months ago, I reached out to OBJ. I was just sitting back watching some football, and I was like, I wonder how he's doing. So we were tapping in with each other, and I said, yo, how you feeling? How's the body? And he said, on the way. And I said, is the body back? He said, all signs pointing up, all capital letters. And he finished with God is good. Sent me a little clip of him working out that he didn't share on social media. And I was like, oh, man. And I told him straight up, your body looks stronger.
Yeah.
You look faster. You look more explosive. I haven't even seen him like this up till this point. And they say after an ACL injury, which I've had, you come back stronger. So to answer your question in a very long-winded way, yes, I believe he is going to add an element to this squad. And it's not just about his route running. We know when he's at the top of his game, it's elite, period. But it's that X factor, the special trick plays that they add into the game plan. Like we saw that last year, and it was just, it got us so excited. This was one of my favorite plays from OBJ as a Cleveland Brown. Jarvis Landry coming back and really pulling that ball from the back pocket and throwing it as far as he could, and OBJ faking the block, coming back out, and then catching that corner route. Like, this is what makes it special for him to be back in that lineup because he's so dynamic. So when you use him as a decoy, like if somebody else is getting the rock, they're most likely going to be open.
Yeah.
And if you give him the ball and he's throwing it, which he can, the wide receiver is going to be open because he's going to attract so much attention. Y'all remember that reverse he had where he's making a few guys miss and then he was about to throw it and he took off and scored a touchdown? Like those type of elements, it makes it so hard for teams to game plan.
Worth the paycheck, though, like elite receiver, or just adds a different element?
I believe this is going to be the ultimate year to decide if OBJ is worth the money. You know, even though that's my boy, I got to keep it real. The finances are the finances. Like, if he doesn't play well, the Cleveland Browns are going to be looking at him like, look, we're paying you way too much money. We're going to let you go, or you're going to have to take a significant pay cut because it's not worth it. But if OBJ balls out, then yeah, he's worth every dollar.
I know it's been a while, but you can put Odell Beckham Jr.'s first 3 NFL seasons, not just the highlights, but the numbers up against practically any receiver who has been around the NFL. He was that good. And if you forgot, let's roll some of the highlights from Odell's first 2 years in the league.
I like that.
This is the guy we're talking about. This is the catch that everybody remembers, of course, the one-hander. But he made so many plays early on in his career.
2014.
I understand it has been some time. There have been a lot of injuries. There's been a team change. There have been circumstances. What I know is that when the Browns watched Odell Beckham Jr. this summer, he wasn't doing everything in practice, but when they watched him, they thought he looked better running routes at 90 whatever percent than most guys do at 100%. He stayed in touch throughout his rehab, even when he wasn't at the facility. They kept tabs on him. A lot of the emotional stuff that he dealt with the Giants, they haven't seen that in Cleveland. They wouldn't have kept him. I know he had guaranteed money, and of course he's coming off of an injury, but they probably would have been more aggressive, seeing if there might be a trade partner or something else, if they didn't believe that he could potentially make an impact. And if he does, on a really good team that's got other receivers and other playmakers, it's like a free player. He's got to make $15 million, but it's basically a freebie addition with a star player if he can come anywhere close to what he was, Kyle.
What he was are the words that come up a lot with Odell. I don't need to see that one-handed catch for a long, long time. I'm Tommy, we played it. We're done. I want to see it next when he retires. It's over. Like, that was 7 years ago. And right now, especially this time of year, we spend a lot of time talking about, will we get the return of blank, the return of Cam, the return of the Cowboy? Old Kanye is back. The return. No, it's not happening. Here's the facts. Odell Beckham, if he retired right now, would be looked at as a very talented, very famous player who never won a big game. And that's fine. But what's coming next? I'm just, respectfully, Tom, I am so sick of seeing that one-headed catch. It's too many times. Irrelevant play. Even in that season, really, it wasn't very relevant other than the optics. Here's where I come out. We've called Odell a rock star for years and years and years, and it fits the behind the music mold perfectly right now. If you watch that show, it was great, and it was rock star, and it's cool, and he would do the warm-ups, jumping catches before the game, and that was almost like a sound check, you know, before the concert started. But after the third commercial break of every behind the music episode, it would always be like, the fall, the crash, and Odell has fetched that perfectly. Think about this. The band breaks up. That would be the Giants. Swaps out members, new members. Now it's Baker, now it's Jarvis. They cut their hair, self-explanatory. They go to rehab. Odell's been rehabbing many injuries, and they have a new sound. But sometimes nobody gives a crap about that sound. Sometimes it's just they find the artistic in, they're playing little venues. But sometimes it's like, wow, you really did it. You're still selling out arenas. What is Odell's new sound? I don't need him to be a rock star.
Not one of those behind the musics, though, ends with, like, the worst possible thing. It's like Nikki Sixx had a drug overdose and he just died. No, like, they stabbed him in the heart and he fought back to life. And they kept making music. There's always one last gasp, even if it's for one season. If Odell, maybe he's not a high-volume player anymore. Maybe he doesn't get 150 targets. They don't need him to be. But if he can make plays exactly on a really good team and be a weapon when they need him, I think within context, that's a success for Odell Beckham Jr. and for the Browns.
They need him in those situations, Kyle, where they have to throw the ball to win the game, i.e. the game against the Chiefs. I do believe that if Odell Beckham Jr. was healthy and out there for the Browns and available, they would have gotten past Kansas City. I think that they had a really good chance to. They were missing that. Are you giving up on him a little early, my friend? I like what you're saying. I don't need to see the 2014 clip. But what about last year? He played a full... Let me see if I can try to sway your mind and give you some patience on Odell.
I'm hoping.
Full 6 games last year. And this is a run-first team, so I'm not expecting 1,400-yard numbers. But take a look at what he did do, right? He had, he was on pace. Let's play the pace game. I love this. I'm glutton for punishment. He was okay. He was on pace for over 1,000 yards and 11 touchdowns in a run-heavy offense. Now, I don't think it's going to be an insane, 1,500-yard season. But I say this. He's got to give me a couple of years where he doesn't have 1,000 yards, and he had it in 2019. He's got to give me a couple of years where he hasn't strung together a full season. He played a full slate of action in 2019 as well. So I need him to show that he can't be available. 2019 was a good year for him in a 1,000-yard season. So I can't. If I walked down Sunset Boulevard a couple of weeks ago, and there was a huge billboard of Odell Beckham Jr. He's still a star, and I think we should give him some patience.
Patience, sure. It's just running out. And I don't